Okay, yeah.
What are you laying? Somebody laying on the floor with the camera now? You look like it's just the ceiling.
Yeah, I changed location, so I'm on a laptop now, and it's all good. Well, thank you very much for taking the time talking to us. We're very, very honored, and it's very much appreciated for you being here and talking to us. But there's something I was wondering when I read the record title the first time. It's Bon Jovi 2020, and I thought it's completely wrong, because it's supposed to say Bon Jovi Bruce Springsteen 2024. I thought that this would be the correct title. But you guys, I think that Bruce Springsteen would make a nice vice president to your presidency.
Oh, I see. Well, we might get a couple of votes in the state of New Jersey, but I don't know about beyond that. And I think that I would defer to his being president if we were a ticket.
It's great, but being serious for a second, I think that even though the record has been pretty much done and finished before Corona started, it still seems to be a very critical, maybe perhaps even a very difficult record for you to write.
It actually wasn't difficult. When we went down to Nashville in March of 2019, what I believed to have been the album was, in retrospect, just the first batch of songs. Yeah. Because Let It Rain, Lower the Flag, Do What You Can, American Reckoning, they were all written after the fact. So the album title 2020 was originally just tongue-in-cheek, to be honest. I had suggested it to the band because I thought, well, it's cute in an election year if it looked like a bumper sticker or a T-shirt. But as the songs took on a deeper meaning, then 2020 became a topical record. And I started to see all of these events unfolding that gave me something to write about. And that's what I've gravitated towards. So then I took the position that I am witness to history, not taking sides, just as though I were an unbiased reporter stating the facts. And this is what happened, and this is what I'm writing about. And with that in mind, I really enjoyed the writing process and pushed myself to write honestly, openly, and most importantly, unbiasedly. I didn't want to show any bias because, it doesn't mean that if you're on the opposite end of an issue that you're wrong. It's just that it's your opinion, the reporter's opinion. Nothing wrong. Just, two opinions. So I just wanted to state the facts.
Was that being unbiased? Was that probably the hardest thing to do?
No, because I never would think that my word is any better than the listener or those who are on the other side of any of the topics. If I write a song like Lower the Flag, and it's about one night I went to bed and there had been a shooting and I watched it on the news. And in the morning, when the reporter came back on and he was talking about a shooting, he mentioned another city. And so I turned around and I said, no, you got it wrong. And then I realized another shooting had happened. And these shootings were being taken for granted, so much so that it almost seemed like the reporter was saying, we'll be right back with the weather and sports is coming up. And it moved me so that I thought, what about the poor family who is their lives have now been ruined? It just to me. And so I had to write the song. But never in the song do I take sides and say, guns are bad. Well, that's not the position. My position was to say, this happened. I feel terrible. How would you feel if this happened to your family? End of conversation.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. It seems when I look through the song list and the writing credits, I mean, this is a Bon Jovi record, but you wrote pretty much, I think, 95% of the record by yourself. Yeah. So it must be a very, very personal record for you.
Yeah. On every record, I if I don't write it by myself and I co-write it, all the catalysts of this stuff generally has got to come from me because I've got to be the driver of the subject. I've got to shape the record. So when I collaborate, I enjoy it immensely, but I'm still going to have to drive. You know, with these songs, I couldn't have seen it any other way. The two that I did co-write, I welcome, and they wouldn't have been the same had I written them by myself. But the rest of the record, I did write it by myself, and I couldn't have seen it being any other way.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much, you know, to talk about every song on this record. But the one that stands out, obviously, most likely is the American Reckoning. I think I've never heard a more serious and I think a more desperate Bon Jovi song ever.
Well, I think it's probably one of my best. I'm very, very, very proud of it and blessed to have written it. And it's a difficult subject matter.
Yeah.
You know, I was aware of all of the other shootings as they're reported on the news. I've been aware of the other George Floyds that came before, but for some reason I was never moved to write it. Maybe it's because of the COVID lockdown. Maybe it's because we were all watching the news every day, all day.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because the filming of it and the recording of it, you could hear it and see it, and it moved you so. But when I saw this man in that situation calling out for his mom with his last breaths, it moved me. It moved me emotionally. And so I wrote the song, and I had to be very careful to get it right.
Yeah.
And so I wrote it. I played it for my wife. She said, it's a great verse. The chorus isn't good enough. I went back. I didn't just say, I'm right, you're wrong. I went back and I worked on it. And then I played it for several people of influence, you know, real people of influence. And I played it for them and got their opinions so that I could defend every word. And then when we went in the studio, Tico fought me on it to make sure that he pushed me to title it American Reckoning. And it was Tico who, you know, that was a lyric in the song. It wasn't the title. And I agreed wholeheartedly when he and Jon, they pushed me in the studio because it was going to be called I Can't Breathe. And they said, you know, American Reckoning. And when it hit me and I said, that's the title, I thought it's even stronger, you know, so it is America's Reckoning.
Yeah. I mean, the record starts off very, very optimistic with Limitless. Although, you know, when I started to sing along to this song, my wife patted me on the back and said, your life has limits now. Don't worry about that. But was that one of the first songs you've written for this record?
It was one of the earlier ones for sure. And that was a co-write, right? So that was just the big old Bon Jovi on an anthem. Took on a different meaning in COVID.
Yeah.
It really became us all on that hamster wheel of what day is it? What am I doing today? There's no work to go to, no theater, restaurants, movies, sports to go watch. You know, we were on this hamster wheel. So even in the second iteration, I put it as the first song on the album because I wanted it to be, okay, wake up, everybody, wake up. Here we go. You know, time to start this day. And it took on a whole nother meaning.
Yeah. I brought something that just wanted to show you real quick. That's one of my favorite shirts and from one of my favorite records. But it's been a long time. You know, do you sometimes ponder about all those years and the long road you have come from then to now and from there to here? Fascinating.
You know, I mean, that's 36 or 36 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
34 years since that album, right? So it's crazy that I'm talking to you about a brand new album that people are excited about 34 years after Slippery When Wet. Fascinating. You know, the world has changed. I've changed. I've been blessed to do what I love to do and continue to be able to do it.
Is there anything within this career where you would say today, like, I should have done this differently? I'd made a mistake there.
Very few things.
Yeah.
Honest to God, very few things. Some things happened that are the catalyst for why other good things happen. You know, there's not a day that goes by that I don't wish that Richie had his life together and was still in the band. Yeah. You know, but he didn't. And yet, you know, in a weird way, it's because of his inability to get it together anymore that we went on and wrote This House Is Not For Sale. And it was a very strong record in that I'm able to write songs like this. Maybe we would have gotten lazy. Maybe, you know, we would have been, I don't know where we would have gone. But through all that pain and you know, heartbreak came this. And so, you know, jokingly, I say the only thing I ever regretted in my career was not having met Frank Sinatra. That's the only thing I regret.
What can you do?
I wasn't ready for it at the time. You know, I wasn't ready for it at the time. Now, what I'd give to have met him would have been awesome. I wasn't ready for it.
Oh, man. The last question, sir. When do you think you're going to be able to head out again?
It's a really good question. You know, nobody knows, but I'm starting to see little cracks of light coming through. I'd heard that at the Ryman Auditorium in Nashville, they're allowing shows of 500 people. And, you know, that would be pretty glorious to play the Ryman to 500 people right now. So I'm hoping that in a year from now, there's a vaccine. And most importantly, that people will feel safe. Because that's all that matters to me, is that if people want to come and have that communal feeling, that ultimately they go home feeling that sense of comfort.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And I'm sorry about the technical difficulties we had earlier. There's only one thing that I can state, that no matter if we meet in real life or just by Zoom, I guess, you know, when you're standing next to Bon Jovi, I think you're always the second most handsome guy around. So thank you very much again. And talk to you soon.
Have a good day.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you. Bye-bye.